Why are birth rates dropping steadily in the developed world? And why can't any government in that same world seem to do anything about it? I mean, this may sound like an exaggeration, but it's a question every developed country is currently grappling with. Governments have thrown everything they can at this problem, from cash incentives, subsidized daycare, even tax cuts for families, and yet none of it seems to be working. Take Japan, for example. Back in the 1990s, the Japanese government saw the country's rapidly declining birth rate and responded with policies that should have worked, at least in theory. Childcare leave, cash allowances, paternity leave for fathers, and a cultural push for men to share the household burden. But none of it made a difference. In fact, things have only gotten worse, with Japan's birth rate plummeting even further to a dismal 1.2 children per woman. So, why are these efforts failing? Maybe it's because governments are treating it as a simple economic problem. But it turns out having kids isn't purely an economic decision. In fact, it's more of a spiritual and a psychological one. People don't decide to have children based on tax credits or subsidies. Children are an expression of something deeper. I mean, yes, children can certainly be expensive, but a quick look at demographics and we see that it's not like rich people are the ones having more kids. Maybe that's because the desire to have kids is rooted in things like love, community, meaning, things that can't be simply reduced to dollars and cents. And every time the government tries to solve this issue by adding another financial incentive, they're missing the point. They can't create the conditions that make people want to bring life into the world. In fact, many of the conditions created by the government are doing the opposite for a lot of people. Government spending and inflation have actually contributed not only to the poor economic conditions that those same politicians are trying to address with even more government spending, but the apparent inability or unwillingness to deal with issues like crime are creating the very conditions that cause people to think twice about bringing up a child in this kind of world. The fact is, politicians seem to believe that they're great at solving problems provided they can measure the problems. But when it comes to creating the emotional and spiritual conditions that lead to new life, they seem to be far better at doing the opposite. In fact, as we've seen time and again, the more the state intervenes, the more the problem seems to get worse. The reality is, governments seem to be great at reducing the birth rate. We've seen this in China with the one-child policy, and in Japan post-World War II when contraception and abortion were legalized in order to reduce population growth. But when it comes to raising it, that's a whole different matter. You can't just simply legislate love. And you can't incentivize the kind of sacrifice and joy that comes with raising children by adding another tax credit. In the end, politicians may argue that policies like paid parental leave or child tax credits can help those who already have kids or want them. But the problem is they won't change the fundamental reasons why people aren't having them in the first place. So I know it probably sounds crazy to a politician who is on a mission to solve this issue. But maybe the solution is less government involvement in every aspect of our lives. Maybe what people need is for the government to stop helping in the form of tax schemes or more programs or more interference, and instead just focus on the very few things they could actually do to help, like keeping our streets safe or letting people keep more of their own money. Turns out the more freedom people have to plan their own lives without wondering what a politician is going to do next, the happier and more secure they feel in order to bring children into the world. Do you have a why you would like us to answer? Go into the link in the description and pose your question, and maybe the next Why Minutes will be dedicated to you.